Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good evening. Welcome to the March 31st Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. We'll start with roll call, please.
Kimball,
Present.
Stephenson,
Here.
Schreiber,
Here.
Wilhelm,
Here.
Floch.
Here. Ceremonies, announcements, appointments, and presentations.
First thing is today is National Tater Day. So, being Idaho, we got to celebrate those potatoes. And then item B is the swearing in of the new Planning and Zoning Commissioner, Michael Floch.
All right. We got to do that over here, or you can do it right here. Oh, yeah, just go ahead and stand up right there.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will faithfully perform the duties of your appointed office and will support and honor to the best of your ability the constitutions of the United States and the state of Idaho and all applicable laws, ordinances, and policies of the state of Idaho and the city of Post Falls, as well as the policies, procedures, code of ethics, and code of conduct of the Post Falls Planning Commission?
I do. All right. All right. Welcome, Michael. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Any amendments to the agenda tonight?
There's none.
Declarations of conflict, ex parte contacts, or site visits from commission members?
I have a declaration of conflict on item D under public hearings, the Crown Reserve Subdivision file. That project is one of mine, and they're one of my clients, so I will be stepping down for the rest of the night at that point in time.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Looks like the consent calendar is empty.
Correct.
All righty. Any citizen issues tonight? This section of the agenda is reserved for citizens wishing to address the commission on an issue that is not on the agenda tonight. Persons wishing to speak will have 5 minutes. Do we have any takers? All right. Seeing none. Unfinished old business?
There's none.
All right. That'll move us into our public hearings tonight. If you're wishing to testify for any of the public hearings, please fill out the paperwork and back there by the door and turn that in up front to Nancy, and we'll call you at that certain time. First hearing tonight is Public Works Annexation, file number ANNX-26-2. We'll open a hearing.
Good evening, Commissioners. John Manley, Planning Manager here at the City of Post Falls, introducing the Public Works Annexation. So the owner and applicant for this is the City of Post Falls. The request is for you to forward a recommendation of zoning as part of this annexation request. That's your role with annexations, is just to forward the zoning on to City Council, which they'll decide on the annexation matters. But the request is for industrial zoning on approximately 16.04 acres as part of this request. There's about an acre and a half that's going to be is part of the West Hargrave right-of-way, which I'll show you that in the presentation. And the intent is to facilitate a future public works facility and a park site. Here's the location you see here. It's midway between Pleasant View Road and Corbin Road here on the north side. So north, the big rectangular area, that is the land. The right-of-way is, as you see here, Hargrave going east-west, that portion there. Did want to note, though, because some people did ask questions like, well, can you extend beyond the property? We can. In the future, though, it does, the properties to the north and south, they'd be eligible to ask for annexation sometime in the future. On the east side of Corbin Road, those wouldn't, because you can't use right-of-way as a means to get an extension, otherwise that's a shoestring.
Unless those other two.
Correct.
Yeah.
If one of these other ones came in, then it would allow the other side to come in along with it, and then there's the dominoes can start happening.
Okay.
Now looking at the surrounding zoning for this area, Everything to the west of here you see is industrial. And so that was the premise of kind of why we're looking at industrial as one of the reasons, besides looking at the focus area and the future land use map. But we're looking at what is the surrounding area, how does it fit, and so industrial was chosen for this request. Looking at some additional information here, the water provider would be East Green Acres for this area. The land is currently vacant, it's over the aquifer. Currently, there is no sewer available, so there is a plausible scenario that if this site was wanting to get developed to provide service to this area, we would have to seek to go to some sort of septic system and get the appropriate permittings out there until such time sewer would be available. As far as nearby roads, you got Corbin Road being a major collector, Pleasant View Road being a minor arterial, and then there's the Hargrave Road being that local roadway connecting the two going east-west. Here's the zone change criteria. I'll be going into this, starting with the future land use element and the consistency with the proposal. So you can see here that in the future land use is business commercial. And for as far as implementing zones, it points to the focus area as being directing us to, does the proposal meet that? And if it is, then we can go ahead and annex accordingly. And here's that project site in that West Prairie area. So looking at this focus area, it does look as it's going to be transitioning from a mix of commercial and industrial between Corbin Road and Pleasant View Road. So it does entertain it. Goal 1 in the comp plan looks to grow and sustain a balanced, resilient economy for Post Falls. Policy 2, which may connect the dots on this, would be apply and revise zoning designations with careful factors considering what you see there in bold. The main one here I would point out is the compatibility, it was with the infrastructure and service plans. So for this area, in order for us to, and I'll go into this in a couple slides, this is an area that Post Falls is slowly growing out to the west on. And so having public works facility out there as well as a future park site may help assist the community prosperity and fiscal health and meeting community needs. And that kind of ties into Goal 7, plan for and establish types of quantities of land uses in Post Falls, supporting community needs and city's long-term sustainability. In here, I cite 2 policies that could correlate. One is Policy 24, that's plan for and protect transportation corridors and get the right of way and can connect the appropriate roads. So that's where Hargrave, getting that right of way, and you have the arterial and collectors being able to make that connection with city improvements. Policy 38 ties back into that meeting that current level or maintaining identified level of service. So by annexing this in and bringing city-owned property into the city allows us to do that with Policy 38. Looking at the other policies that could go along with it, Policy 60 and 63 correlate with parks and their needs to continue meeting a level of service for their plans as neighborhoods move out that way. Here is a level of service map that the park submitted and kind of why they were interested in it. So out to the east, those are existing parks. And so this is like a half-mile buffer they put around that for neighborhoods that are within the desired distance from their city parks. So in the future, when this is a city parks, this kind of allows them to meet needs within that zone. Now, as you see here, you do get additional parks that kind of overlap. So I would predict that utilizing impact fees as a measure for growth, they'll be looking for other park sites to kind of create some overlap for the community as it moves that way into the future, but this is a step forward in that direction, meeting those comp plan policies. And then lastly, does the proposed zoning district create a demonstrable adverse impact upon the delivery of services by any political subdivision providing public services within the city? Here's who was notified. You can see here that of those comments, they all remain neutral, no comment, no concerns, or they had no facilities in the area. So no real major concerns for that criteria. And there they are again. Any questions for me?
Anybody have any questions?
John, I got a couple.
Yep.
One is, was the public reserve zone contemplated in this situation?
Yes, it was, and thanks for bringing that. I intended to as part of an earlier slide, but the public reserve has a limitation of 20 acres minimum, so we did contemplate. We would have if it would have been a lower threshold. There is a possibility that down the road, if we lower that threshold, we may do a rezone for both sites as public reserve.
Okay. And the second question is that the public works facility, I'm assuming that would be like a streets shop and kind of like something that public works would be using where they store their equipment and their plows and buildings. And
That's what I was
mechanical.
presuming on that, but we do have Andrew here if you want to know what the purpose of that is for.
It's not necessary. I'm just presuming that. I mean, is there anything else? I guess that they would use it for other than something like that you know of.
I'll let Andrew come up
Okay.
and add additional info.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chair, members of the Commission. Andrew Arbini, Projects Division Manager in Public Works for the city. So your question on what we're building on that site. So that will relocate the Public Works Streets and Water Division as well as the administrative staff for Public Works. It's approximately 20,000 square feet, north of 20,000 square feet total facility. It will include a shop, office space that will house street operations, so snow plowing, street maintenance, as well as our water division.
Okay. Thank you.
And so the thought process is to put it on septic, a commercial septic system out there?
If need be on an interim, I mean, if we don't have sewer out there and we need the needs for our own sustainability, for meeting, for fiscal sustainability and being responsible, then yeah, we would seek a septic. You wouldn't presume a heavy load either with the amount of individuals that would be out there.
And just on that map there, the actual right-of-way going all the way out to Corbin, so would development of this, and this doesn't necessarily pertain to the annexation part, but is the plan to improve Corbin or Hargrave all the way out to Corbin? When this gets
Eventually,
developed, or is it?
Well, when we go there, we wouldn't be obligated to develop everything out to there. Ultimately, it'd be whatever the shortest distance is, we probably would improve.
Okay.
I'll go back to the other slide, actually, 'cause I don't think it has the typo. There we go. That one's fixed.
Okay.
Why not a commercial zone versus industrial?
Yeah, good question. And so we looked at how this was going to transition from the west to the east. Typically, you wouldn't have commercial set behind Pleasant View, behind industrial like this, that distance. You wouldn't get quality commercial. If someone ever saw commercial out there, you would see stuff like storage units. So like if, let's just say we own the land and we wanted to do a land transfer to somebody else down the road, right? That's why having some zone rather than a public reserve zone is a benefit to the city, because now you have vested rights to do trading for land. So you can maybe trade 15 for 20, or if there's something that we could gain an advantage for a trade. So that site would not be a good commercial site because there's no visibility from a major arterial. And the only thing someone would want commercial there for would be to get a special use permit to do apartments behind an industrial use. So we looked at even single family at that location. Well, single family wouldn't be the greatest because they're two not incompatible uses adjacent to each other. And then how are you going to mitigate that border between a single family use and an industrial use? So currently at this time, it seemed like the best use in that area with the existing zones and with unknown direction of the properties around it. We do say in the comp plan that we do transition with Pleasant View to Corbin, some of your medium to higher densities. And then as you go from Corbin to McGuire, you'd be transitioning from your middle to less density. So this kind of begins that a little bit. So, and like I said, we're open to rezoning this once we know more what the zones are around it in the future, and even to public reserve.
Cool, thank you. Any other questions? All right. Since you're the staff
All right,
and
that's it. That's
staff and the applicant, any testimony? All right. Close out the hearing. Get the zoning criteria.
All right, good evening, Commissioners. What we're looking at here is a zoning recommendation on Annex 26-2 for the Work Center. So these are the three criteria that we look at for our zone change as codified in our ordinances, and we kind of go through it in a step-by-step analysis to discuss. Number one, so we look at, is the proposed zoning district consistent with the future land use map and focus area contained in the currently adopted Post Falls Comprehensive Plan? And again, the recommended zone is industrial for this property.
I would say yes, because it is in the West Prairie focus area, and the West Prairie focus area specifically reflects that industrial and commercial uses are envisioned west of Pleasant View Road. And it goes on to talk about the mix of residential, commercial, industrial envisioned between Corbin and Pleasant View. So I think what we're talking about here fits that, especially in line with what's adjacent to it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think specifically it's the mix of commercial, residential, and
Yeah.
industrial part that really hits home on that.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Let's move on to number two. Is the proposed zoning district, the industrial zone, consistent with the goals and policies contained in our currently adopted Post Falls Comp Plan that are relevant to the areas in consideration? So we're looking for any identification of the goals or policies that might be in the staff report or upon our comprehensive plan that might be influence whether or not that is a appropriate zoning district.
Well, it meets goal 1, grow and sustain a balanced, resilient community for Post Falls. You need a place to put your equipment. Goal 7 establishes quantities for land use for Post Falls, supporting the community and the long-term sustainability.
I'd also like to point out that while not truly an island, this is an infill development or an infill annexation where it's pretty much a peninsula of county that is nearly completely surrounded by the city of Post Falls. So there's city of Post Falls on the west, east, and south, and some on the north even, if you go far enough up to Prairie Avenue. So I do think that this is that meets the policies and goals surrounding eliminating or encouraging infill. And I also think that just from a general standpoint, properties like this are hard to come by for a public works type building. They're where public works might want them inside city limits are generally speaking pretty expensive already, and so I applaud them for thinking outside the box, if you will, and going to purchase this property, annex it in, so that they can put what is essentially an industrial type use, which is basically a construction yard almost. So it's the city's public works department, which is, it's like their construction yard and their office out there, which is something that is an industrial in nature. So I don't really know if that speaks to any particular policy, but it does, I think, back up the reasoning behind it.
I'll just add one more here. Policy 16, maintaining adopted levels of service for parks, recreation, and open space. While this technically won't be a park or anything, it's definitely going to support all of that activity for the city.
I'd apply policy 2, apply or revise zoning designations with careful consideration of factors that's including the future land use map, They're compatible with surrounding land uses, which I think was demonstrated by what we're adjacent to, or what that parcel's adjacent to with the industrial. And then it's extending the infrastructure and service plans for the city, which includes connections and transportation and so forth.
And Commissioner Schreiber, I think that policy two speaks to what Ray was talking about with the compatibility of the land
Yeah.
uses, the industrial as being
Agreed.
next to it since it is a contractor's yard, so.
I was just making it easier for you to have an actual policy.
Oh, good. I like numbers.
Thank you.
Clarification.
Okay, thank you. And finally, we'll move on to criteria 3, unless there was anything else on that topic. Does the zoning district create a demonstrable adverse impact upon the delivery of services by any subdivisions providing services within the city?
Yeah.
There were
No.
none identified
Nothing
based
was
on the number
identified.
of.
Yeah, and no public testimony towards it.
Okay, thank you.
No concern.
Any further deliberation? If not, would somebody like to make a motion?
I can make a motion.
Thank you.
I move to recommend approval of the Post Falls Public Works Annexation, file number ANNX-26-2, finding that the requested zoning meets the approval criteria in Post Falls Municipal Code 18.20.100, and as outlined in our deliberation, and direct staff to prepare a zoning recommendation to be provided to City Council.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor
Second?
and a second. Roll call, please.
Wilhelm,
Yes.
Kimball,
Yes.
Stephenson,
Yes.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Floch.
Yes.
All right, that'll move on to City Council. Next item on the agenda is Fisher Lift Station Annexation, file number ANNX-26-1. And we'll open that hearing.
All right, here we go. Another Post Falls request here. This one here, though, is for 0.51 acre recommendation of the zoning designation, single-family residential R1 zoning. And the intent is to facilitate the relocation of the Fisher Lift Station so it can be properly sized. Here is the location on a map. Here it's here on the northwest corner here of Howell and Fisher. They're hatched in the red box. You can see to the east some developing residential subdivisions and developed subdivisions, and to the south the larger 1 acre lot subdivision. You see that reflected here in the zoning. To the east of Howell Road, the dark yellow, that is the R1. You can see these smaller R1S lots. Those are in essence R1 type lotting pattern. And then to the south of Fisher, those are those large lots, R1S. The current lot is vacant. It's over the Rathrum Prairie Aquifer. Wastewater would be the city of Post Falls. Like I stated, though, the plan is to have a lift station on the site. East Green Acres would be the water service provider. Fisher Avenue is a minor collector, and Howell Road is a local roadway. Here's those three review criteria. Going into consistency with the future land use map, you see here the transitional designation here, that's that blue. That directs us to look at the focus area and the principles within that. This focus area you see here is the Central Prairie, and you can see where that site is here relative to the Central Prairie. So going right into the Central Prairie, I kind of highlighted here that it focuses on single family, but there's going to be encouraging projects that encourage higher density and community amenities along Prairie Avenue. It also talks about other development in that area. The only way you're going to get development is through being able to provide sewer and have everything appropriately sized. Once again, we're bringing back to growing and sustaining a balanced, resilient economy, providing community prosperity and fiscal health. So getting your lift stations and your sites at logical locations that you can meet existing infrastructure is a way to do this. And that ties into the policy 2, where we go into the infrastructure and sewer planning when you're trying to apply or revise zoning designations with annexations. Looking at goal 7, establish types and quantities of land uses in Post Falls supporting community needs and long-term sustainability. Once again, this isn't a direct where you're getting a zoning and you're going to get development there. It's more of an indirect effect to how this ties into it is by, once again, providing the expansion capacity of your infrastructure allows you to meet other policy points and goals in the comprehensive plan. One of those could be policy 15 is as we try to look for future housing needs and housing opportunities. You're not going to be able to do that if you can't provide sewer. And we have decreasing areas in Post Falls where you're able to do that. And this is an area that is expanding and getting additional housing. Policy 40 looks to plan and locate private and public utilities consistent with best management practices. And I'll show you, I got a picture of the sewer planning for this area, and you can see where this site fits in relation to the plan and existing infrastructure. And there it is. So there you see the black star. That's the proposed location there. You can see it's right, it happens to be adjacent to this line out to the northeast that kind of runs through there. So that's a really good location that they're able to find to be able to strategically locate and expand their facility and accommodations for their services. What I put here in the kind of elliptical box is there is currently a study to see what portion of this area may be able to be serviced through that expanded lift station. So by expanding this allows for this area to meet some of the housing needs in Post Falls. To note, we do have a school property being planned at this location here also. So this site is key to this area. So that goes through the goals, policies, and the comprehensive plan. Any questions for me at this point with zoning and why their request is here?
Questions?
So just a bigger question. How does it work with impact fees when the city is the owner and developer? Does the city pay itself?
Once again, I'll pull Andrew up here to find out how impact fees are tying into this site in the expansion of this. But
I mean, it wouldn't make any sense, but I'm just, because that comes in when we're talking about demonstrable adverse impact.
I mean,
A lot of times we talk about, a developer's paying into X amount of fees and so forth, and probably making roadway dedications and so forth for this one.
well, if it's in a master plan, like let's say you were in a corner and you were having some streetlights, you had a major regional infrastructure project and it was cited in a master plan and you're collecting impact fees, you could draw from those impact fees to pay on the proportionate share of a capital facilities plan that's in a master plan. Now, if it's not been cited in a capital plan and then typically it falls on the back of the developer of that lot to do those offsite mitigations themselves.
Okay.
And that would come into the cost of the project, and that would come in at that time.
And Commissioner Schreiber, usually the impact fees are at the subdivision level, so that's usually when we consider the impact fees, actually subdivision and the impact of the development upon the adjacent areas.
Not on just a zoning.
Correct.
Got
The demonstrable adverse impact has to do with, does this zone recommendation, create any adverse impact on somebody providing services? Does it increase police services? Does it impact the roadway infrastructure in some way that the highway district says, hey, this is going to cause a problem here, and lower our levels of service?
Okay,
So,
thank you.
And the only other time we apply impact fees is on site development. So yeah, it is either through subdivision and or site-specific development that we apply impact fees.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's fairly common to have a lift station near or in a residential neighborhood.
Yeah, it's not uncommon.
And would it always be R1? Or do we have ones that are other zoning?
I think we probably have them in various zones. It all depends on
Just the very
where it
zone
happens
case.
to be in.
Gotcha.
If it happens to be in the right location, that everything can gravity flow to a location and then get pumped up and start gravity flowing, hopefully with less lift stations than more, but
Sure. Cool.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you. Public testimony? No public testimony. Close out the hearing and go through the review criteria.
Well, for number one, I think it is consistent with the future land use map and the focus, as well as the focus area as contained in the currently adopted comp plan. Everything that's within city limits already that borders this property is the R1 zone, so, and it's designated as low-density residential. So to me, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
I would agree.
agreed. Agreed.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Number 2, consistency with the goals or policies of the plan.
I think specifically Goal 7, where it supports community needs for adequate utility services or adequate services, and sewer being one of those services that is incredibly important to our community. I think we all like to flush toilets.
And policy 40, best management practices for that.
Yeah, policy 15, adequate land use for future housing needs.
And policy 35, maintaining infrastructure.
Thank you, Commissioners. And I think on the application or on the presentation, we jumped a little bit on that number 3, but I think the staff report indicates that there was no comment on the demonstrable adverse impact, unless I'm misremembering the testimony here.
Right. I would actually say that there would be a demonstrable positive impact on it because we're actually increasing, or it's a spot for increasing sewer flow, which is a positive impact on public services in the city.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners.
Any other deliberation?
Nope.
Anybody like to make a motion?
You want me to do another one, huh? I move to recommend approval of Post Falls Fisher Lift Station Annexation, file number ANNX-26-1, finding that the requested zoning meets the approval criteria in Post Falls Municipal Code 18.20.100, as outlined in our deliberation, and direct staff to prepare a zoning recommendation to be provided to City Council.
Okay, motion on the floor,
Second?
and a second. Roll call, please.
Kimball,
Yes.
Stephenson,
Yes.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Wilhelm,
Yes.
Floch.
Yes.
Next agenda item is G2 Subdivision Amendment, file number 26-1. I'm going to open that hearing.
Good evening, Planning Commission. My name is Justin Souter. I'm an associate planner here, and we have the G2 subdivision amendment before you, file number SUBA 26-1. We've got 2 different property owners here, and the applicant is MacArthur Engineering. Like I said, this is an amendment to a previously approved subdivision, so the applicant is requesting approval to amend the G2 subdivision. It was SUBD 25-2 to subdivide approximately 18 acres into 105 residential lots to create a mixed residential community with both cottages and traditional single-family homes. They are now requesting to amend that subdivision by adding 5 more additional lots for a total of 110. And this is in the RM zone, the residential mixed zone. And a little background on why this is before you, and the applicant can speak on this a little more. But there's an existing single-family home on the property that will remain and become part of the subdivision. After the approval, they realized that there was a shop on the property that could be preserved. And by saving that shop, it made a couple of the other lots a little smaller than was desired. So they shifted some lots, and through that process, they ended up with a couple more cottage lots, and altogether ended up with 5 more lots. And I'll let the applicant speak a little more on that, but that is the reason for the addition, for the amendment, I'm sorry. The subject property is generally located on the southeast corner of Syringa Street and Horsehaven Avenue, with the exception of the very actual corner. There's a single-family home on the corner that is not part of the project, but in general, it's on Syringa and Horsehaven. To the north of the site, we have smart code development with duplex lots, a church, and other single-family homes that could be considered compatible with this G2 subdivision. To the west is that one single-family home on the very corner of Syringa and Horsehaven, and then across Syringa there is a single-family R1 subdivision. To the east we have a single-family subdivision that's in the county, and then to the south we have single-family homes on larger lots also within the county. Here is the zoning. It's in the RM zone, so it's that orange and white hatch marks. Like I said, to the north, we have some smart code. We have a little bit of R1, R2, and we have some county properties. There's a lot going on. To the east, you can see is in the county, and then to the south, we have one R1 property, and then other properties within the county. And then to the west, we have that subdivision, and then that one corner lot is R1. Here is just another view of the project site. You can see here that there is a home on the southerly property line. That's the home that is proposed to remain, the home and the shop now, that will become part of the subdivision. The other buildings that you see on the site that are up towards Horsehaven, those are proposed to be removed with the subdivision. Here is the proposed subdivision. There are 110 single-family lots with various housing products. The smaller lots along Horsehaven or Givens Lane are a bit smaller, and these would be the cottage homes. The remainder of the lots would be considered the more traditional single-family detached lots, and then access from the subdivision would come from Syringa and Horsehaven. Here's the landscaping plan, and the only reason I'm showing that is it's just a little easier to visualize because we got the streets in here and some added colors. So the same exact thing. You can see in the red box on the southerly property line, that's where that home is that's existing. And then you can actually see that shop as well, and that's why the road, Gwendon Avenue, kind of bends around that shop. Now we will get into the review criteria for the subdivision. One, definite provision has been made for a water supply system that is adequate in terms of quantity and quality for the type of subdivision proposed. Water will be provided by Ross Point Water District, and they provided a will serve letter. The 5 additional lots was not an issue for them. 2, adequate provisions have been made for public sewage system, that the existing municipal system can accommodate the proposed sewer flows. The proposed addition of the 5 residential units does not significantly impact the capability to service the project. The city has capacity and is willing to service as proposed, and then any existing septic systems will be required to be abandoned and remaining structures connected to the city's water reclamation system. 3, proposed streets are consistent with the transportation element of the comprehensive plan. The subdivision and proposed layout accommodate connectivity and will not have a negative impact on the local transportation system, and the proposed roadway circulation anticipates extension and development to the south. The roadway shall dedicate rights-of-way and easements and be constructed to the roadway standards as outlined in the city's transportation master plan. And the proposed addition of 5 residential lots from the previous project does not modify access points to the existing roadway system or the circulation routes within the proposed development. 4, all of the areas of the proposed subdivision which may involve soil or topographical conditions presenting hazards have been identified, and the proposed uses of these are compatible with such. There are no known soil or topographical conditions which have been identified as presenting hazards, and on-site septic systems will be removed upon development. Northwest, there is a gas pipeline. The Northwest pipeline does have a line that runs approximately 500 feet north of the site. However, they had no comments or concerns with the proposed subdivision. 5, the area proposed for the subdivision is zoned for the proposed use, and the use conforms to other requirements found in the code. The subdivision and the proposed lots conform to the requirements of both Title 17 and 18 of the municipal code, and then the single-family lots and the cottage lots are allowed through the land use table in the Post Falls Municipal Code within the residential mixed zone. And the last one, the developer has made adequate plans to ensure that the community will bear no more than its fair share of cost to provide services. Impact fees will be assessed and collected on individual building permits to assist in mitigating off-site impacts to parks, public safety, streets, multimodal, EMS, and fire. Here's a list of the agencies that were notified of the project. Here are the ones that responded. They were either neutral, had no facilities, or will comment during the building permit process. Here's the review criteria once more for you, and then I will leave you with this. That concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer questions, and the applicant is also here as well.
Questions? None. All right.
All
No
right.
questions? Name for the record?
Good evening, Commission. Scott MacArthur, MacArthur Engineering. I don't think you need my address, but we're good. Tonight, just to follow up with what staff's presented, Justin did a great job. Just have a small presentation just to discuss the project. Obviously, as Justin pointed out, the project's located in the southeast region of Horsehaven and Syringa. You did hear this project previously when it was approved for a subdivision with 105 lots. The property is zoned residential mixed, as Justin pointed out. This was a vision of the approved subdivision for SUBD-25-2. This is the 105 lot layout. What happened was after the subdivision was approved, our client went to obtain bids to rebuild his existing shop in a location that would not be impacted. Generally in this area, on this lot, the costs were, obviously everything's more expensive these days, were beyond what I even anticipated. So therefore we approached staff to discuss how do we modify this so it's still conforming to the goals and policies and the approval of this subdivision. Staff worked diligently to come up with some great solutions. We've implemented those. Still utilizing the same street sections, we've come up with a new lot layout that keeps that existing shop and the existing home together. It essentially modifies slightly the layout along the southern side of Ginden Lane. But what it's doing is it created a hinge point for some of the single-family lots to the north. So what we've done, we relocated 2 of our cottage home lots that were up in the northeast corner to the Givens Lane, which is a private drive, again, consistent with the format presented previously, which eliminated 2 single-family lots. We moved those lots to the east side, the much desirable single-family homes, not cottage homes, where we found that under this zoning designation, we could fit our proposed home layout within the same setbacks under those, using those smaller lots. So what you're seeing here is the areas that are highlighted have been modified. Again, these are the 2 cottage home lots that would be relocated. The park area was relocated, modified, and then the area in purple is where we added the additional single-family homes, non-cottage homes. So under the approved subdivision, we proposed about 70,730 square feet of open space. With this subdivision request, we've reduced that slightly to 68,000 square feet, which is far exceeding the requirements of both the cottage home requirements and the residential mixed zoning requirements. The densities, the previous approved density was 5.83 units per acre. We're now at 6.1 units per acre. Our annexation agreement allows up to 8 units per acre. So we are well within the city's requirements for those areas. And I won't repeat the conditions of approval. That's in your packet as well, but I think Justin did a great job of going through that. So I'll stand for any questions.
I have a quick one.
Yes, sir.
Are any of the proposed conditions of approval different from the prior subdivision?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I got a question. Can you go to the slide that showed the revised, yeah, that one. So one of my concerns is those 2 lots, you have driveways that are gonna come off that private lane.
Yes, sir.
Versus before you had north-south lots, so it'd been a side lot, so those parking, because you have to have, for cottage homes, you gotta have so much percentage of off-site parking. I'm assuming that's what those are.
So these are all parking spaces,
Yep.
20 foot by 9 foot, located here, here, here.
Right. So
and
how
then
do
up
they
here.
not become, in that location to where the individuals living there, they don't assume that that's their overflow parking for them?
So in addition to
those lots as well, and I'll get to that just one sec. These homes are required to access off of this private road as well. And so the overflow parking, it originally was proposed in this area. A similar question came up, I think, at the previous subdivision. And I didn't bring a layout for that tonight. But the previous parking was located along this area, and the question came up, how do we know that that's cottage home? How do we know that that's, it's overflow parking? And I think that's like trying to stripe a city street. I think the overflow parking is there. I think it's available. I think it's available to everybody in this individual community. It's on a private street. It's also available to the general public to utilize as well. So I think that was how we addressed it to the satisfaction of staff originally with the subdivision request, and then how we're looking at it again, similar discussion.
Yeah, I apologize. I normally
No, you're good.
could get this ahead of the time, so this is an anomaly for me.
He told me he was going to put me on the spot tonight. I didn't know that. Just kidding. Just kidding.
So anyhow, my preference would be you'd have maybe one reduction a lot and a lot going north-south, and you would have those not being adjacent to other driveways, making it confusing in this particular layout. I don't know if your client would be open to that, but to me, that just seems like it's asking with the driveways being parallel and adjacent to those stalls being more confusing than the previous situation.
And I think the density is what we're seeking tonight, and I agree with you that a modification to this, achieving that same density, could possibly be done. And I think that that was originally accepted in kind of our interpretation with the direction we're going. We moved it to the private road so that the driveways would access the private road rather than the public street, as it was more less of an impact to those driving up and down, backing into a public street, which is what we considered just for that layout there.
But you'd be able to switch those and rotate them 90 degrees and call it good.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
And they could even be rear loaded as well through a shared driveway on the north side or something as well, if we were to keep that layout. I think that could be addressed with the formal subdivision submittal.
I'm sure Ray knows how to comment accordingly to assist staff with the concern.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Can you just identify what's block 1 versus block 2?
I can. It's been shifted around slightly, so I'll.
Mr. MacArthur?
Yes.
My eyeballs aren't nearly as good as they used to be. Can you tell me what the lot numbers of, that's block 3?
Yes, sir.
What the new, that's lots 1 and 2?
These here.
Yep.
Let's go to the plat.
It is 1 and 2, okay.
Yeah, let's go to the. So these have been identified as their own block here.
Okay.
These two.
New lots 1 and 2. Okay,
Yeah, lot 1 and 2, I would say that that's.
I got it. I'll figure it out.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Sorry, thank you.
Anything else?
Oh, one more question. So on the conditions of approval, number 10 is the existing driveway accessing Syringa to lot 5, block 1, will be allowed to remain.
So if we look at, Mr. Givens has an existing driveway that is probably utilized more for senior pictures than any other location in the city of Post Falls. He has large growth trees, beautiful driveway. And so part of the initial request was that this driveway remain in an easement. And so this driveway will provide access to the homes that it shares an easement with here.
Well, my question is, the condition is for lot 5, but that easement goes to lot 4.
it runs through Lot 4 and into Lot 5.
Okay.
And that's part of how the changes were made to allow the shop to remain. And so this lot will access that driveway and won't have a driveway that directly connects to Ginden Lane or Ginden Avenue.
So would Lot 4 then have a driveway?
1 through 5 in this location would access that driveway. They would share the driveway for access.
Okay, then I'm even more confused because condition number 5 says no direct vehicular access to lots 1 through 4. Oh, that block 2. Okay, and then lot 1 can't access from Syringa.
So these lots right here are that condition 5,
Yep.
those 4 lots, yep. Those are going to have direct access to Givens, the private road.
Right, but condition 9 also includes lot 1, block 1, which is the corner. So are we saying that an easement is not direct access to Syringa? Because it sure looks like it. Or should we be revising that condition?
I think we would perceive that as an indirect access. The main access is the easement through a common drive.
Okay.
And then its access to the lot itself would be an indirect access off the easement to a driveway to Lot 1.
Oh, so what we're saying is there can't be a driveway directly from lot 1 onto Syringa?
Yeah, separate driveway, independent, to facilitate the needs only for itself off of Syringa.
Okay.
And subsequently with this too, and I know that this hasn't really been discussed, but that driveway to the existing home that's not a part of the development, we are building the frontage improvements, God bless you, that cross that lot. And so therefore, this access will remain. This will be the only lot that does have an access that remains to Syringa, directly to Syringa.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Public testimony? All right. Close out the hearing. Look at the review criteria.
Commissioners, did we ask if there was any public testimony? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did. I sure did.
Sorry, I missed that. Just
Nah,
making sure.
Head down working. You're good.
All right. Subdivision 26-1, an amendment to the existing G2 subdivision to add 5 lots in the RM zone. And the reason we have to go through the whole process is we don't have a process just to amend a subdivision other than doing it again, just for edification. All right, number 1. Has a definite provision been made for a water supply that is adequate for the subdivision?
Yes, Ross Point
Ross
Water
Point
District.
District.
Yep, it's provided a will-serve letter.
Thank you. Let's see, number 2 is the same for the sewage system.
City of Post Falls.
Yep. City of Post Falls.
There's testimony, the city will serve that property as well. Number 3, the proposed streets are consistent with the transportation elements of the comprehensive plan.
That's correct. So I believe both Horsehaven and Syringa are collectors, and that'll be modified. They will be widening those to those standards, as well as providing connectivity to adjoining developable properties, which deals with the connectivity issues.
And it should be noted that condition number 7, recommended condition number 7, is included in here, and developer is going to be improving that corner, which is great because that's part of that process.
It's above
But
and
they're
beyond.
going above and beyond what they really have to do.
Thank you, Commissioners. Let's move on to number 4. Any areas of topographical concern presenting hazards?
None identified.
Unidentified.
No, I don't think there was any testimony on that issue. Number 5, the area proposed for the subdivision is zoned for the use, and the use conforms to other requirements.
Yeah, the RM zone, they still meet the 7% open space requirements, and they've met all the other requirements found under the RM zone, as far as I can see.
Okay, thank you. And finally, number 6, has the developer made adequate plans to ensure the community will bear no more than its fair share of costs? And we usually address these with impact fees at the permitting stage, unless there's anything else to be said on that issue.
Nope.
No,
Impact fees.
impact fees and road widening pretty much takes care of it.
Including that's off-site.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All right. Any more deliberation?
So as part of our, before we actually make a motion and move forward, on the subdivision conditions, I would like to change condition number 12. Can I give some suggested wording on that?
Yes.
So condition number 12 is in regards to the homeowners association. I'd like to change that to say that a homeowners association shall be formed with a capital reserve account to provide for the ownership, maintenance, and capital repair, replacement of all common areas, including the internal private roadways, Tract A and Tract B, and all common open spaces.
I think that's appropriate. I mean, that, especially considering how lately homeowners associations are coming to city council and disbanding and talking about how they're financially insolvent. And having private streets is one of those things that homeowners associations, and I know this personally, have a difficult time sometimes managing long-term capital infrastructure repairs. So at some point in time, they'll have to repave and redo their little private street. And having a capital reserve account will at least start them up with the ability to save for that and know that they have to save for that. I can't say that's gonna fix it, but at least give them a head start. So.
That's the whole idea, especially when you're dealing with what's intended to be starter homes, first-time home buyers. You just don't want to straddle them with this 5 years, 10 years down the road, and it's something they just didn't expect.
Right. No, I can attest that my little subdivision, we've got 33 lots in it, and we're going to hopefully repave our street this summer, but I'm the only one in our entire HOA that has the ability to do a paving project. And so I'm doing it pro bono, but that's, I think it might be a rarity.
Agreed.
So I think that's an appropriate modification.
From a legal perspective, is that fine? So,
Okay.
I think we're fine with that.
okay.
Okay. I move to approve the G2 subdivision amendment SUBA 26-1, finding that it meets the approval criteria in Post Falls Municipal Code 17.12.060H as outlined in our deliberations, subject to conditions 1 through 13 as contained in the staff report, with condition 12 amended as Commissioner Schreiber so eloquently described, and adding condition 14 to state that the 2 new lots, 1 and 2, east of Givens Lane shall front Ginden Avenue, and direct staff to prepare a written reasoned decision to that effect.
Okay, motion on the floor.
Second?
And a second. Roll call, please.
Stephenson?
Yes.
Kimball?
Yes.
Floch?
Yes.
Schreiber?
Yes.
Wilhelm?
All righty. At this time, Mr. Kimball's going to step down because he has interest in this next public hearing, but we still have a quorum, so we will keep moving forward. Next item is Crown Reserve First Edition Subdivision, file number 25-2, or -6. We'll open the hearing.
Good evening, Planning Commission. Justin Souter again. Crown Reserve First Edition Subdivision, file number SUBD-25-6. The landowner is the Jacqueline Land Company. The applicant is Whipple Consulting Engineers. And the applicant is seeking approval to subdivide one parcel totaling approximately 45.31 acres into 150 single-family residential lots, one multifamily lot, and one commercial lot within the residential RM mixed zone. Here is the subject property in the red hatch marks. It is south of Hayden Lane. It's between North Chase Road and North Idaho Road, and it's just north of the previous phase, which we'll see better on a future slide here. To the north of the site are large lot single-family residences across Hayden Avenue, and those are within the county. To the west is a large tract of vacant land owned by the Post Falls School District, and to the east is another large tract of vacant land that's actually owned by the city. South of the project site is the other previously approved subdivision, and you can see that's also in the RM zone in the orange hatch marks here. You said the land to the north is within the county. The land to the east and west, that's the public reserve. And then the south, we have the hatch marks, also RM, part of the same project. And then further south, we actually have some smart code down there in the purple. Here is another view of the site. The project site is in yellow. You can see the previously approved phase has already been platted and it's currently under construction. That's what you see with the blue lines there. You can see also that's north of Bodine Avenue, so hopefully that gives you a little better idea. Here's the proposed subdivision plan. There are 150 single-family lots proposed with several new streets to service the subdivision. The lots west of Spokane Street are what would be considered the more traditional single-family detached homes, and then the lots east of Spokane would be a mixture of alley-loaded cottage and townhomes. The smallest lot size for the single-family residential is around 3,300 square feet, and the largest is almost 14,000 square feet, so we've got a range. There's also almost 4 acres of open site throughout the site, which equates to about 8% of the total site dedicated to open space. Additionally, there would be an RV or boat storage area designated somewhere on the southeast of the property for homeowners that have lots that are too small to store such vehicles on their own property. And then if you can see up on the northwest corner on Hayden and Carlsbrook, we have the one commercial lot on the very corner, and then that's attached to the bigger multifamily lot. Get into the subdivision review criteria. One, definite provision has been made for a water supply system that is adequate in terms of quantity and quality. Water will be provided by East Green Acres Irrigation District, and we have a will serve letter from them. Number 2, adequate provisions have been made for a public sewage system and that the existing municipal system can accommodate the proposed sewer flows. So the proposed density is in conformance with the land use assumption of the city's water reclamation plan. The city is in the process of designing a reconstruction of the Fisher Lift Station, which we heard about earlier this evening, to address regional basin needs, and reconstruction of the Fisher Lift Station is needed prior to development of this project, and we'll get into a little bit more of that when we talk about the conditions later on. Construction of the improvements to the Fisher Lift Station are scheduled for 2027 and anticipated to be online in late 2027 or early 2028. Per the recorded zone change agreement on the property, sewer services were limited to 150 dwelling units, and that allotment was utilized with the platting of the Crown Reserve subdivision. So until the new Fisher Lift Station is operational, the plat should not be approved. Like I said, we'll get into more of that in the conditions, and we have our city engineer as well here who can help clarify some of that for you. However, the city is willing to serve the property, subject to the completion of sewer mains shown in the preliminary plans and the new Fisher Lift Station as well. 3, the proposed streets are consistent with the transportation element of the comprehensive plan. The subdivision and the proposed layout are consistent with the city's transportation master plan. The developer has performed a traffic impact analysis that was reviewed by city staff as well as the Post Falls Highway District, and the project is including development of the Hayden Avenue frontage that will provide the necessary left turn accommodations as identified in the traffic impact analysis. All areas of the proposed subdivision which may involve soil or topographical conditions presenting hazards have been identified. There are no known topographical soil conditions, and the site is not located within 1,000 feet of an interstate gas pipeline. 5, the area proposed for the subdivision is zoned for the proposed use, and the use conforms to the requirements of the code. The subdivision and proposed lots conform to the requirements of both Title 17 and 18 of the Post Falls Municipal Code. And then the uses proposed, all single-family, multifamily, and commercial uses, or the lots are allowed within the land use table in Post Falls Municipal Code within the RM zone. The final review criteria, the developer has made adequate plans to ensure that the community will bear no more than its fair share of cost to provide services by paying fees. And impact fees will be assessed and collected on individual building permits to assist in mitigating the offsite impacts to parks, public safety, streets, multimodal, EMS, and fire. Here's a list of the agencies that were notified. We received these 5 comments back. They were either neutral, will review during the permitting process, had no concerns, and the Post Falls Highway District did make a comment that they did in fact coordinate with the developer and recommended improvements on Hayden Avenue, which we talked about earlier. So after the staff report was published, there was a little more talk with our engineering division, and there's a recommendation to remove both conditions 6 and 7 from the staff report and replace them with this condition that's on the screen. So final plat of the subdivision will not be approved until the improvements for the reconstruction of the Fisher Lift Station are in operation, unless other remediation of the Fisher Lift Station's capacity is identified and approved by the city. So that would be staff's recommendation.
When you say approved by the city, who would make that approval? Council?
Good question. I'm going to defer.
Mr. Paulus.
Excuse me, members of the commission, Robert Paul, city engineer. We were looking at that condition as being more of a technical matter so that it would be coordinated between the Public Works Division or Department and the Civil and the Engineering Division, as we would look at if an alternate means was to come about, would that be technically feasible and meet the same intent as if the Fisher Lift Station was in full operation? Does that handle your question?
Yeah. I guess my only concern is, we're going, as it states now, the lift station would have to be done, and we're the approving body now. Now it kind of seems like it's shifting it towards the city, not to say that you guys would let it, I'm sure you wouldn't let it go forward unless there was capacity there anyways.
Yes, the reason we are putting that limitation on there is that between the Public Works Department from an operation and maintenance standpoint and engineering looking at it from the engineering standpoint, we have concerns as to the ability to make sure we have adequate capacity if they were to have gone forward with it as proposed right now.
Okay, understood. Cool, thank you.
There's a condition in here, condition number 8, the CC&Rs for the subdivision shall include notice stating that the property immediately east of the subdivision is planned for future application of treated municipal wastewater as a recycled water project. I thought we had discussion on, I don't know if it was this one when it was coming up for zoning, or maybe it was the other portion of this, but that putting that out in there as a condition wasn't something we could do.
I'm going to defer to John, our legal, on this one.
Yeah, and thank you, Commissioner Schreiber. I think that was for the Crown Reserve to the south of this. I think my concerns were the CC&Rs. I mean, that has nothing to do with the conditions of the approval for the subdivision and requiring them to put into their CC&Rs a notice to put everybody on what could or couldn't happen to the adjacent property was somewhat problematic. So having not seen that, or this one came up again from the previous one, I guess I would recommend that we probably remove that so we don't create some sort of cloud on title, and it isn't, to be consistent with our previous decision, I would re-raise my concerns with that, which you have noted, because you're paying attention more than I am in that regard. So I recommend we probably remove condition number 8.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's it.
Alrighty. Sorry I interrupted you. Continue.
That was it. That concludes.
All right.
So the applicant is here as well.
All right, invite the applicant up.
Thank you, Commissioners. Ray Kimball for the record. I'm here representing the owners tonight for the subdivision. So I won't belabor what staff really hit. I'll just hit some of the high points. So there's project location. You can see that there's the previous phase and the current phase. So we are breaking the current phase into 2 different phases. So we have first edition and then second edition. And I'll go over the reason for that in a minute here. So this is the overall subdivision plan. We have the cottage lots. There are not going to be any townhomes, although that would be allowed, but these are sized for cottages. Similar to what is being built out there right now today. There's vertical construction going on. The property, so that's to the east of Spokane Street. Down here on the very southeast corner, you can kind of see it right where it says open space tract. Right here, I think that shows up right there. That is the RV boat storage that is planned as an amenity. It's already 2/3 built. This phase will finish out the last of it. And that is so that's going to be owned by the homeowners association. And it'll provide them, 1, a source of income, and 2, it'll help keep boats and RVs off the street and in a nice little storage facility close by. And although the owners kicked around how they're going to do that, it's probably going to end up being a lottery system if they have more applicants than spots. And then of course over here west of Spokane Street is the typical single-family residential that you would normally see. In most Post Falls subdivisions, we have the multifamily lot and the commercial lot that were exactly part of, that's exactly how we had our bubble diagram when we did the zoning recommendation and the zone change. So with the first phase, you will see here outlined in red, we will be extending Spokane Street all the way to the north, and as well, we will be widening Hayden Avenue. This is all with that first phase. If you're wondering why the phase line looks the way it looks, and that comes down to sewer. So the gravity sewer for all of the lots in phase 1 can flow through the previous phase and out towards the Guy Road. It goes south through Crown Point and then trickles down to the intersection of Fisher and Guy Road, where the Guy Road lift station is currently located. Phase 2 requires a little bit more planning on the sewer, and so this has been a long time coming. There were some moving parts, and I will talk about those here in a second. So East Green Acres Irrigation District is the water provider, and they have a will serve letter in your packet. This right here is, so now sewer, talking about sewer. So we've got here this yellow line. This has already been installed with the previous phase. It is dry right now. It is not serving any homes. It is intended to serve those lots, the lines that are served by the blue to the north. And then my clients, the Jackson Land Company, has purchased this old railroad right-of-way right here, and that provides the route to get down to this intersection where we will connect up with a city infrastructure project that is slated for to be in follow right after the Fisher Lift Station project. We've also been in conversation with the city public works staff about taking that project on and doing it as a reimbursement so that we can extend sewer all the way down. But the reality is that we always knew that there was a gap, there was a spot up on the very north end that needed some special sewer considerations, and rather than putting in a lift station, we came up with this plan. My clients purchased that long strip of railroad right-of-way, which gave them a sewer route and gets them down to that intersection, which will basically provide a very large part of the city's regional infrastructure in that area. So works out pretty well. So that's why it's phase two, because we're going to bite off those two chunks, and there's some coordination with city projects that require that. And so when it comes down to the conditions and why are the conditions written the way staff revised them, we've always known that the Fisher Lift Station was on the schedule to be rebuilt, and the existing Fisher Lift Station is going to stay in place and in operation, and in the next year and a half they're going to be building the new one on the north side of the road in the area that was just annexed, and then they'll put that online, take the old one offline, and away we go with all new infrastructure, higher capacity to serve a much larger area than what we're even proposing. So this is all part of the city's capital improvement plan. There are a series of upgrades that happen in that part of the city that are in their capital improvement plan, and that is just one of the pieces and parts. And so if you're wondering why now, why are we doing this now, why are we not waiting until this is already done? And the reason is pretty simple, is that both our subdivision takes time to build, and the city's lift station takes time to build. So rather than waiting until it's built and then starting construction, our plan is to start construction and build concurrently with the city project, so that when the city project is up and going and online, we can final plat and sell lots, and people get building permits and flush toilets into a brand new system. And that's the point. That is why that condition works. And staff agreed to work with us on the ability to come up with some creative options if there was something where, let's just say the existing Fisher Lift Station, let's just say that one of the pumps wasn't performing well, and or maybe if we increase we drop 2 new pumps in the hole, then it increased the capacity and it give us enough capacity in the interim for another 60 lots. Well, is that worth it for my client to get a 8-month or 10-month head start? Something like that. There's all these different options that are out there. We haven't fully explored them, but staff gave us the option with that conditions that says that if we come up with a creative option that we can both agree upon, then yeah, you can get your final plat sooner. And so, and that's why we asked for that. So, and I think that works out pretty well. We understand that there are limitations, there are current limitations, and it's not like it's at its capacity right now, but there is allocated capacity, right? So there are other lots that are out there that are being developed. Our first phase, our first 148 lots is one of them. So that's part of it. Going beyond that, Spokane Street will be built to minor collector standards. Hayden will be built to major collector standards. We've provided connectivity to the west, so that the Post Falls School District has the ability to access off of the west side. That takes care of the transportation master plan stuff. Other requirements of the code, we meet all of the density requirements in the RM zoning. And open space, so for the entire 82 acres, the the requirement was 7% or 5.6 acres. The first phase, so the previous phase, we provided 5.38 acres, including a 3.6 acre park. That park is located right here, and it was first slated to be a private park. It has now been converted to a public park, and it's under construction as a public park with amenities and a bathroom and all those things that come. So it'll be part of the City of Post Falls public park system. And so the open space provided in this current phase, so phase 1 of first edition is 2.24. Phase 2 would be 1.58, although we're probably going to take a little bit out of the top here and add that open space into the multifamily lot to use it for the multifamily open space calculation. But at the end of the day, the total open space provided is 9.2 acres, which is 11.2%, well above the 7% that's required. And there are no known topographical conditions that are incompatible with the proposed use. And of course, impact fees would be paid at the time of building permit, and the 3.6 acre public park is excuse me, under construction, and Hayden Avenue will be widened across the entire frontage of the property. And with that, I will be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? All righty. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Public testimony? All right. Close out the hearing. We'll look at the review criteria.
Okay, Commissioners, thank you for your patience. Looking at subdivision file 25-6 for Crown Reserve, 45.31 acres, 150 single-family lots, 1 multifamily lot, and 1 commercial lot. Number 1, definite provision has been made for water supply that is adequate in terms of quantity and quality for the type of subdivision proposed.
We have a will serve letter from East Green Acres, so it doesn't sound like there's any issue with water supply, quantity, et cetera.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. Number 2 is the stickier one. Number 2 is the adequate provisions have been made for a public sewage system and that the existing sewer system can accommodate the proposed sewer flows.
In the process.
Yeah, the city's going to take care of this, but there's a couple conditions and other approvals that'll be made to make sure that the new official lift station is completed before certificates of occupancy will be approved.
So in the modified condition on this one will be before final plat.
Correct.
So with the modified condition, what it does is bump up that earlier date when the construction, the sewage needs to be prepared. So we're not waiting until the last minute before putting that condition in.
Yeah, so essentially, we're taking care of any outstanding concerns on that item, item number 2, or criteria number 2, by removing conditions 6 and 7 and replacing them with the condition outlined by staff.
Yes.
Yes, sir, that's true. Okay. Thank you for that. Number 3, proposed streets are consistent with the transportation element of the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, there's lots of connectivity here. Hayden's going to be widened to, I think it's a major collector, then the internal suite. Streets will be created to their standards. Creates connectivity to the, what is it, the school's lot next door.
And I'd point out on that one, it sounds like a traffic impact analysis was also already done and completed as well to identify any system improvements.
Yeah, and some of the stuff that's in that impact is actually some kind of translated into the conditions too, to make sure that stuff does get done, the recommendations from there. But there wasn't anything major.
Thank you, Commissioners. Number 4, any areas involving soil or topographical conditions presenting hazards have been identified?
None noted.
None identified.
All right. Area proposed for the subdivision is zoned for the use, and the use conforms to any other requirements found in the code?
Yes.
Yeah, it conforms to Title 17 and 18 for the RM zoning.
Okay, and finally, number 6 again, adequate plans to ensure the community bears no more than its fair share costs of the impacts.
I think that's offset by impact fees, and then also all of the open space, the dedication of the public park, the cooperation with the city on improving sewer facilities, and probably more than anything else is the dedication of land for public streets along all these frontage roads, and then also the roads that are going through the property as well, like Spokane.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners.
Any other thoughts?
I'd like to amend or change item number, or condition number 12.
You want to do 12? Oh, let's see, what is that one?
It's in regards
Okay.
to homeowners associations. So I would suggest that we change it to a homeowners association with a capital reserve account shall be formed to maintain all common areas, including alleyways, open space, repair and replacement of right-of-way frontage along Spokane Street, Hayden Avenue, excluding future multifamily and commercial parcels. That maintenance shall include all landscaping, irrigation, removal of snow from sidewalks and trails. So basically, I want to add that capital reserve account in there again.
What number do you put on that?
What do you mean?
If there's a capital reserve?
I don't believe that we can
This is where.
mandate that or even
Yeah, this is-
necessarily control it, but I'm trying to put it in here that it's a standard thing that we do.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a step in the right direction.
Like we said earlier, there's been some HOAs that have come to city council, and I think a majority of these are older ones that have kind of run course. But the hopes is, obviously, we can't police this. Hopes is this will kind of give them a head start on putting that money away for the long term. So. All right, with that being said, Mr. Schreiber, would you like to make the motion?
Sure.
Keeping in mind the other changes?
I move to approve Crown Reserve, First Edition, Subdivision 25-6, finding that it meets approval criteria in Post Falls Municipal Code 17.12.060H, as outlined here in our deliberation, subject to the conditions, let's see, what are the numbers here again? Subject to the conditions, they're 1 through 14, but deleting items or conditions 6 and 7 to be replaced by the condition outlined in the staff report, and also deleting condition 8, which is the, previously was a condition requiring a notice in the CCNRs, and then amending or modifying condition 12 to include a capital reserve account. And with that, direct staff to prepare a written reasoned decision.
That work? All right. We have a motion on the floor.
Second.
And a second. Roll call, please.
Schreiber?
Yes.
Wilhelm?
Yes.
Stephenson?
Yes.
Floch?
Yes.
All right. Next item on the agenda is administrative and staff reports.
None.
None. Any commissioner comments?
Pretty wild crew out here tonight.
Pretty wild crew, yes.
So there was an appeal on a prior decision, I think went to city council, and then it was pulled.
That's correct.
Are we expecting they're going to come back again, or?
No.
We haven't heard?
No, basically the applicant on that got wind of some of the public comments. So, it's also a testimony of your voices can be heard. And so the applicant looked that up and said, well, you know what? He didn't want to fight the winds and said, you know what? Maybe it's best for us not to pursue, and withdrew. And so I don't suspect that particular applicant coming forward on that.
Okay. I was just wondering, because I don't remember us having an appeal on a decision previously, so it was interesting.
And then also welcome Commissioner Floch for your
Thank you.
Sacrifice?
Thanks for having me.
Yep. Anything else?
Only reason we had a quorum tonight.
Yeah. That's why it's important to have a full commission. Chris, this HOA thing keeps coming back up. Is that something you could take back to the legal team and see if, as we have subdivisions like this, if we could actually just start incorporating that?
Yes, it's on the list that grows
Okay.
every day. We've had some discussions about it. I've had some discussions with admin and my legal services director. I'm trying to figure out where the fine line is through the impetus of us putting this in every time and Commissioner Schreiber having to create this on the fly versus staff just preemptively putting it in our conditions of approval, just as a template, and then moving forward. If nothing else, it's raising the issue with the HOAs that this is going to be, it's not going away. Whether or not we legislate it through an ordinance adoption or anything else and put it part of our code subdivision and how enforceable that is, I think you guys are all aware of how difficult it is for us to enforce a condition in a CCNR because it's a private agreement between private landowners and the developers at the time. So our ability to come back in afterwards and do some sort of enforcement action is difficult. So we are having the dialogue. It just takes
Takes time.
it takes a little bit long, well, it takes a while to get things to float up to the top of the priority level.
I just think it's important, long range,
Yeah.
that we start putting this on there. And it just kind of puts everybody on notice. And
Chris, have you seen it anywhere in action at all yet? Or that gave you,
Well,
you've proposed this a couple of times and it's
so-
just interested me. So.
I've been a declarant on various associations and subdivisions, not in this area, but other areas. And I've been president and vice president of probably 30 different HOAs over the years. And reserve studies and how to set up that account and sinking fund amounts, it's always a contentious issue, especially down the road, 20 years down the road, and all of a sudden you're looking at $1 million repaving job or something. It's hard to go backwards. It just makes everyone's life simpler if you at least talk about it up front. That's my thought.
Understand.
And to your point, Bobby, you asked what that number should be. I don't know. I don't have the expertise to tell you what something's going to need in 20 years for repairs. And so again, for us
I
to
mean,
kind
it's
of.
so vague for somebody to start with, okay, here it is, there's $500 in your
Right.
account. So,
It used to be you would get hit in the secondary market. So if you were doing starter homes, HUD would step in and say, I want to see a copy of your reserve study. And that had to be done by approved people that actually did capital reserve studies. I don't know that they still do that, but I learned that the hard way, so.
So James, back to your point about what have we done with that? We've looked at saying that if we have a condition such as that, how do we enforce it? Because can't they just amend their CCNRs the next day to remove it? Well, sure. But we're toying with the idea of having some sort of condition that certain provision can't be removed without city's consent. So we would at least be involved in the process if we put this mechanism in there and then they want to change it down the road through the vote of however many landowners to require them to come back to the city before removing any such restriction. So we are talking about it. It's just trying to gather the horses.
Makes sense. Thank you. All right. Next item is adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Adjourned.